Hey guys, it's me, Minecraft World, and welcome to episode 14 of Minecraft World on the Air. I don't expect many people to show up for this one, at least on the live viewing, but still, to those who will inevitably pop in, hi. Um, Happy Easter morning to everybody else. Well, it's morning still for me. It's probably afternoon for everyone else across the states. But yeah, happy Easter, fellas. I hope you all are having a wonderful day, eating your chocolate candies and the little poopies from the rabbits. God, that came out so wrong. But yeah. Today I wanted to spend my Easter day talking about some funny kaiju. So I will just do, but I would like to first shout out the one person in the chat. Hi Nico. Happy Easter. But yeah, let me just grab the link and then I will be opening it up to both those in the YouTube chat and in the YouTube live chat and on Zimzilla99's Discord server. So give me one quick minute. All right, there we go. I have opened it up. And if you are in Zimzilla99's Discord server, feel free to join. And there we go. I have also sent the links to specific people who I do wish to join. Both of them have been frequents, so you'll see who they are when they arrive. But yeah. But before we do, how are the four people watching this current? Well, I mean, I'm watching it as well on YouTube, but the other three people who are watching this, hello. How are you all this fine morning? Or fine day, Easter day. You guys doing anything special for Easter? I'll be a minute. Okay. Because for me, it's mostly just drawing, homework, and trying not to Jesus. Trying not to fall apart mentally. Continuing that trend. I know you and Kaz live nearby, so it sounds like it's going to be raining, and I know it's raining for Zim too. So yeah, it's actually relatively warm, albeit a little breezy for me. Where in San Francisco right now, it's chill. It's generally chill. But yeah, I think after the stream I'm gonna go for a walk and then I'm gonna start redesigning Thalys, my flash fiction kaiju, and I want to continue writing Light in the Black Lake, but I also want to I also want to start writing or planning out like Ocean Lights as a story, the broader story of Ocean Lights and what I want to write next. So yeah, that's generally my thought process. And obviously, I mean, Nico and Kuru were in the chat when you did it, but I rewatched Godzilla 2014 yesterday as well. I can see some of the issues, namely Joe being killed off, and I think Aaron Taylor Johnson's acting wasn't perfect, but even then, I think it was cromulent enough. And I still love the film. Like, I still think it's a good film. It's not the best of the MonsterVerse. In fact, its two successors would beat it out, I would say, in quality. But it's it's definitely a solid starting point and overall a generally strong film, if imperfect. And then yeah, and then I also rewatched the Mechagodzilla duology with I don't know if she's in the chat, but Rose Puppy. I rewatched. I showed her those movies. We've been going through some of the Godzilla films, and in both the Mechagodzilla films, I think are just like it's the Showa Mechagodzilla films specifically. It's like Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla and Terror of Mechagodzilla, and generally both of us really enjoyed that. Like, I enjoyed revisiting those, especially since both of them are films that I hadn't seen in a long time. So there's that. But like, they both were just really strong. Both were just really well done. Terror especially held up. So yeah. And I have been participating in OC Kaiju April. So if you are on Instagram and have seen my artworks, yeah, that's OC Kaiju April. I need to get some more non-OC Kaiju April artworks out there, because I do have some that I would like to make. But yeah. I am still waiting. But yeah, like I said, I don't expect that many people to be in the live chat, like, because it's Easter, so we're all going to be spending a lot of time with our friends, and it's what is it? These are also two movies that not many people have actually seen or really had the time to rewatch or anything like that. But yeah. Let's see. Check. Oh yeah, I've also been writing my one monstrous moment for what is it, the Sum Zero edition on OmniViewer's channel. Shout out to OmniViewer. Don't know if he's gonna show up, but if he is, cool. But yeah, I've been writing that. It's been going relatively smoothly, and I'm excited to see what everyone else ends up with. I know the ZCU has a plan for that, which Zim, I believe, has talked about on his server, or at least on his channel. So, yeah. Dude. But, yeah. Yeah, I hope all of y'all are having a decent Easter, and if you're not watching this on Easter, just a decent day overall. Yeah, I know. I'm waiting for like the 10-minute mark to start all of this. I'm just waiting for more people for the people specifically to show up. Because yeah, I know it's like Easter weekend, so Easter weekend definitely would have, like, everyone's busy. especially if you're religious, you're busy. So, yeah. Oh, there you are.
Oh, sorry about that.
Good. You're good.
Ugh.
How are you this fine morning?
I'm alright.
Afternoon for you, I guess.
I'm alright.
Yay. It's yeah. It's been doing stuff. So I've just been chilling. I am planning to work on my redesign for Thalos after this stream, and then if you, when do you plan to do Zidon 2.0? Because I still want to do the art of them fighting.
No idea.
Gotcha.
I'll get to it when I get to it.
Okay.
I don't really have a timeline for that stuff. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay. Yeah, fair. But yeah.
Because unfortunately, my full-time job takes priority because money.
Yeah, valid. But now that at least more than one person is here, I think it's best to get the ball rolling while we wait for Zim.
Do you know if anyone else is coming?
I know Nico couldn't make it. He's busy. I don't know if anyone else will be able to show up.
Anyone else is coming? Okay.
Thing is, it's Easter. I get it. I was expecting this, but yeah. But
I spent this morning sleeping.
But yeah, Guilala, or Monster X, as he's also known as, not to be confused with
That Monster X, the other
not to be
Monster
confused
X,
with
but
that
not that Monster X, the other Monster X.
Yeah, not to be confused with Kaiser Ghidorah Monster X, or Jiger Monster X, or Titan X.
No, they don't all come from the planet X.
No, they don't. But that would be really funny. But yeah, I wanted to do this stream, one, because silly kaiju for April, because like the whole April Fool's thing, but I had to push it back from April Fool's for scheduling reasons, because obviously you wouldn't be able to do it, and Zim wouldn't be able to do it and all that. But and it was cutting it really close with like my school schedule, so I just pushed it back to the weekends, and we had a bit of like a back and forth with a whole bunch of schedule shifts between this and the next one. So best to get it done out of the way, but also give an excuse to talk about these funny creatures. So yeah. The other big reason I wanted to talk about these movies together is really just to touch on the wilderness era, because I think that is a topic that is like under discussed and grossly misrepresented. And I think Guilala's films are a perfect case study for how the wilderness era treated its monsters versus like pre and post 98 perceptions of the genre. So yeah. But I guess before we get into that, I think you and I should go over like broad thoughts on both of the films. If you want to go first, I'll wait.
The first one, having to collect my thoughts here for a sec. So, when it comes to the first one, it is very much how I described it to you. It feels like if you had an asylum film in the Showa era.
Mm-hmm.
For all the good and all the bad that comes with.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not gonna lie, I still don't think this and I don't like to use this argument, I was getting bored until Guilala showed up. The entire but no, honestly, yeah, no, that is my main issue with the first film. It is boring as hell. They are like the opening thing which is the whole reason Guilala even gets onto the planet, which is them, picking up, if I'm remembering it right, them picking up like his orb or whatever while they're out on space going to Mars. And this like mission to Mars takes up like half of the movie.
Yeah, Guilala doesn't even make its presence known until the halfway point.
It is super unnecessary. You could have genuinely started the film with them coming back from Mars, and you would lose nothing.
Yeah. No, that's kind of the sentiment I echo. Granted, I didn't find it nearly as boring, but it definitely you could feel the pacing. Like this
it also
felt
doesn't
like it
help
was dragging.
that its characters are the most like unseasoned chicken with white rice possible. Can you tell me anything about the characters? No, you really can't. There's not even even any quirks.
Outside of the attempt at a love triangle, which even I didn't realize they were doing until the ending. But like
it said becomes more like, oh, the two male characters fall for like the two primary female leads. It's not even a love triangle.
Yeah.
It's more like two simultaneous love stories.
Yeah, and it's barely communicated. That said, one thing I do appreciate is the attempt at taking this film seriously and like at telling that genuinely serious story, even with Guilala being the way that he is.
I don't really know which I would say is better. This one or X Strikes Back. Because I think, well, it is true X from Outer Space, the first one, is trying to do something genuine. I think it fails completely. At least X Strikes Back knew what it was and just ran with it. I mean, no movie where the president of the U.S. is called Mr. Burger is all like...
Yeah.
Like, I'm not joking. I think that says enough. Now, it is true that ultimately they weren't trying to do something genuine, but I think at least I can tell you more about the characters in this film. Even so, I think, yeah, that's kind of my issue. They've got their fair share of issues, the both of them.
Yeah, I think that's part of why I say Guilala is a good subject for this, because both of them aren't great movies, but they both treat the kaiju very differently, and that's what I wanted to like look at. Bad films that approach one character very differently. But we'll get to that later. Also, I best describe X from Outer Space as the Japanese equivalent to the giant claw. I could see it. And we'll get to Guilala himself, but I could kind of see it. But yeah, Monster X Strikes Back is one of those films where it's like the sequel is very different because they were not approaching this with the exact same mindset. This is post 98. This is 2 years after Gamera the Brave, 4 years after Final Wars. And nobody was taking this genre seriously. It was, and so like bringing back arguably one of the goofiest members and treating him this way, it is simultaneously jarring, but also not, I guess.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah, they very much treat Guilala very differently. I think.
Mhm. You just trying to gather your thoughts?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, one thing I will say, both films do give him some sort of like characterization.
Oh no, he's very well characterized, I think.
Yeah, for both of them. And I think it's generally consistent for both of them. He's a very loud, hyperactive, but also curious creature. So it's like, but also he's irritable. And that's like kind of the big thing with him. That uncontrollable irritableness. That's what makes like yeah. And then with the characters, at least in X, at least in Strikes Back, you have more fleshed out and arguably memorable characters. They're still not well written, but they are memorable.
Yeah, I think that's a. I don't know. I feel like might be a bit spicy. I think X Strikes Back is better, quote unquote.
Yeah, it's at least more entertaining. I'll give it that.
Yeah.
It's more entertaining. Because like you have the American president, you have the reporter, you have the cult, you have
the Frenchman,
the French guy who is an absolute fucking riot. I love him. But and you have the reveal with, I believe it's the North Korean spies, which is absolutely brilliant, like brilliant comedy, even if it's like so. Trying to piece it together, but yeah, it like these are characters that will stick. Well, at least one of them will. Like you're bound to at least remember one of them because even if they aren't well written, they still are like they still have their quirks, they still have their attributes, rather than just the two bland girls and the other characters, and then the guy who is physically unfit to go to space. I believe he is the most. I believe his name is Steins, right?
I think
Stein. I think so. Yeah. I believe Stein was the most memorable character because he actually had something going on in the fact that he was physically unfit for this mission but chose to go anyway.
Yeah.
But okay, I'm just waiting for Zim.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Any idea when he's showing up?
I don't know. I'll send him a message, but if he can, I hope he's here soon. He's probably driving his dad at the moment. I don't know.
Yeah, possibly. Because I feel like either that or he's on his way back. I think. What exactly do we know about the film's history? We can go a bit over that.
I guess so. Next from outer space. I'm just gonna go through the Wikizilla stuff. Let's see. Plot, staff, cast. So we had like, yeah, this is a film from Nikkatsu, I believe. No, yeah, that is the studio. I don't know much about them. I think it's interesting to see, like, this was one of the like major, like one of 6 of the big kaiju movies of 1967, because you had this, you had King Kong Escapes, you had Gappa, you had Gamma vs. Gauss, you had Yonkari, and then you had Son of Godzilla, which all of them, I think all of them handle it very differently, which is interesting. But also,
Yeah.
like 1967 was just a really good year for kaiju fans because
it was a big year.
Yeah, it was a really big year for kaiju fans because also for kaiju Eiga generally, because you also had Ultraman running along at this time, which I think this film echoes a lot of like Ultraman-esque aspects. You have the science agency, you have the space creature that also.
This feels like, and maybe this is just I don't really feel like I can say that I haven't seen Ultraman. Well, this feels like maybe what would amount to a Showa Ultra show. Like
or at least
an episode stretched into a feature-length film.
Or at least in two elongated episodes of Ultra Q. Like both halves of this movie could be split into two separate films, or like two episodes of Ultra Q. You have like the UFO episode, and then you have Guilala himself. So yeah, I'm not really seeing anything about the history here.
Yeah, what company even made it?
Nikkatsu. Like, a sec.
I don't think they didn't really make much else outside of that.
Really?
At least I don't think. That's the interesting thing about this movie. We don't know that much about. It's like,
yeah,
showed up,
or at least we're not looking in the right place. But still, it's like, then Summit. And plot, staff. It's like you have a whole bunch of staff, but I can't find really anything much on these aside from like plot beats.
Yeah, it's very much like it's a weird kind of, I don't want to say anomaly in the series, in like the genre, but it is very
like these are two fascinating standouts because of just how different they are. Also, oh yeah, it is. I remember.
Yeah,
I remember you said that. Yeah. Thing with these movies is like because I think the most noteworthy thing about them is just how different they both are. Both aren't like great films, but they're both very different in approach, and you can absolutely see that.
They are. I also think that like people see them just to see the funny chicken monster.
Yeah. I think while we wait for Zem, I'm gonna go over the funny chicken monster. Like, let's go over the funny chicken monster.
Guilala himself.
Yeah, the boy. Where is a good image of him? Here's a good image of him. Let me just Let me real quick just present invite, share screen. Allow. Yeah. This boy. He's a goober. Like, let's put it at that. He's a freaking goober. And probably the only thing people remember out of either of these things. Actually, no, objectively, the only thing people remember out of these things. And actually,
my chud son.
Yeah, he looks like a chud. But also, like, circling back to the giant claw comparison, this really doesn't help X from Outer Space's serious tone. because look at him. Like, I'm not opposed to this design-wise, but in terms of execution, he just looks funny.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, I'm going to come right out and say it. He looks like a sex doll. Because, like...
He looks like a blow-up doll. You're right. Fuck.
Yep. Because of, like, how the arms and legs are
Because of his
positioned.
proportions. Yeah, he does.
I am sorry.
Hate.
I'm sorry. But, yeah, it's like... It's those wonky proportions, and it's the head not helping, because he looks like dead-eyed with the beak. And then you have the antenna here, and then you have the, like, saucer things. I think it's supposed to, like, mimic mushrooms or something. I think. I don't know. I've got some crazy blow-up dolls. Damn you, Vic. Damn it, Vic. Hop on, please. I need more people on the stream. But yeah,
When it comes to like, yeah, the design stays pretty consistent around this and the sequel. Well, not really the sequel, but
Yeah. Let me pull up the sequel, like, gallery. Let me find a good shot of him. Right here. And it's the headphones. But, like, yeah, generally he stays consistent. I'm pretty sure this is a recreation of the suit.
You think so, yeah.
Because, like, there would have been a long difference between the two. Funny you mentioned that. I actually requested they do it earlier today. Like, I put in a suggestion in the toy suggestions chat in TC server for Guilala. But, like, I am 90% sure that this is a recreation of the suit, not the actual suit itself, or like a restoration. Because maybe it's just the cleaner footage, but there is a slight difference, at least from what I could tell. Let me go through the film.
The spaceship looks like a bath toy.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, that was one thing I was talking about. There is like a serious disconnect between the designers of like everything and the actual writing, where it's just like the people who made like all the props in the suit felt like they wanted to do something silly. Meanwhile, he was actually trying to write. Meanwhile, hang on. It felt like the writer and the director were like trying to just make something genuine. Either that or they phoned it all in.
Yeah, that or like design concept didn't translate into the suits itself. Let me see if I can find.
Do we have any like concept art for Guilala?
I'm looking that up. Guilala concept art. Not from what I'm seeing, no.
Which is weird. And again, just kind of adds to the nebulous, enigmatic nature of these films.
These are like, yeah, that's a cool shot. Yeah, I will.
We know surprisingly a lot about the Heisei Gamera trilogy being made, and like the Gamera movies in general. But like, and also Ultraman. But like after that, shit, there's not much that you can tell.
Like, Godzilla, Gamera, Ultraman, and King Kong are the most documented when it comes to kaiju creation.
And then you got like Daimajin as well, weirdly.
Yeah, Daimajin has a decent amount of concept art, or at least behind the scenes stuff from what I remember. But like, And then Pulgasari is notorious for its behind the scenes story, which
is more interesting than the film itself.
I mean, the movie itself is fine, but yeah, I definitely, I mean, I think I do want to do a stream on Pulgasari at some point, or like, yeah, but with Guilala, it's just like, the fuck else is there? I will say, I don't mind the miniatures though. Like, look at this. These are some pretty solid miniatures.
No, that's the thing. Is it's like the actual craftsmanship of everything is pretty good. It all looks well done. Generally, like looks well done. Generally, it's just
it's the disconnect between like the aesthetic, the
aesthetic, the design. It like, I wonder if that was the point.
I'm pretty sure, because like Guilala is extraterrestrial, so naturally he's gonna stand out from everything else. You can make something
stand out and still look menacing. That's my response.
Yeah, because like you have one of my big examples actually is Zargora recently from Gigabash. He's not extraterrestrial, but he stands out, especially from the cast, being like this being that he's, and also like he's shown to be unnatural because he's the only kaiju that really has like two major forms, and both of them are incredibly distinct from everything else. I mean, Zargora's a Reiwa kaiju, but I'd also say Gigan is another good example.
Yeah.
Because you have Gigan is that cybernetic hybrid. He is extraterrestrial, yes, but he also blends in with the
weird, but he still like is intimidating. Yeah, and that's just because they actually present him well. But this is like genuinely, I don't think they do enough to make this design feel like a threat.
Yeah, I mean you can get away with that with cinematography, but even then, a lot of the cinematography is fine in concept, but it's like, and the miniatures are good, but a lot of the effects work doesn't really solidify it compared, not helped by the bland characterization.
Yeah.
And also compositing.
The compositing in this film could be better.
Hold on, I want to find that one shot that fucking annihilated me. I'm going to find that one shot that absolutely obliterated me. Where is it? Just gonna... Where is it? It wasn't like... It was during the initial escape sequence. Where are you? Right. That's the military attack. That's... where is it? There's the runaway stuff. There's Guilala in the background. Right there. Found it. Sorry if this is like... Sorry for the dead silence, but...
It's fine. Yeah, this shot slayed you.
Yeah, this... absolute, like, this sent me reeling back because this is kind of the perfect example of what I mean. It looks photoshopped, and that's not a good thing. Like,
I've seen better Photoshop jobs than this.
yeah. Cineas versus Guilala when? Honestly, I might do that. Um, then there's Youngry. Like, yeah. Actually, like we could talk about some of the design work in comparison, because even with that, Guilala like doesn't exactly blend in with some of the other films. You have like Dappa looks like a natural animal, but it still has that standout quality and a genuinely okay design. Same with Yongari. I think King Kong speaks for itself. Like King Kong Escapes speaks for itself. Son of Godzilla speaks for itself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sent you it on Discord. And a trading card pick that looks like a prototype design. Open. One moment. Vic sent us a thing. It's a this.
That definitely looks like a prototype maquette of some kind.
Yeah, which like I guess since we have this, thank you, Vic. I mean, looking at this, not much really changed.
What is up with that neck?
Yeah, dude's got a tiny neck.
Neck is stupidly thin.
I think it's supposed to be for like the mushroom vibe they were going for with him, because it looks like a mushroom stump, but I don't know. It didn't quite work.
I think this is a genuinely case of like the design is just so. Yeah, I think definitely Guilala's design works better in the tone of the second film.
Yeah, which even going to the second film, let me switch to this shot. I mean, obviously there's a major improvement. Granted, that comes with the improvement in technology, so you have a lot of the
so that just comes with like the improvements in tech, so he just looks better. But I also think that shot of him just looks better. It's very clear that I don't know. It's something. I just think that the shot looks good.
Yeah, it looks. I mean, cinematography wise, the sequel is very, like, it is gigantic improvement in a lot of ways. Because let me find the sequel. I get a good look at the sequel, see if I could get some other shots. Thank God for Google Drive. But like, when it's stock footage, you can tell it's stock footage, and this film does not hold back on the stock footage. But
see, it's interesting that everyone says that, but I only noticed it in the initial, like when Guilala first shows up. After that, it is all original footage. Now, granted, it is original footage of it all being in the exact same set.
Yeah, which, like, considering the low budget nature of this film, yeah, of course it does. Of course. But yeah, and I guess, I guess since we're with the sequel, where is he? Let's talk about him.
Takemajin. I'm not gonna lie, he was my favorite part of the movie.
Real. Well, for me, he was my second favorite behind the French guy.
The Frenchman and his
affair having bullshit. But it's like this, like, it leans into the second, into like the goofiness, because you have the absurdity of Guilala fight. Like, it's a monster fight that doesn't exactly take itself seriously. And I think that's part of its charm. But also, I mean, the design itself, it's over the top. Really over the top. Like, yeah, it's a statue. But holy shit! This looks like an Ultra Beast. I mean, both of them look like Ultraman kaiju.
I honestly quite I feel like this could have worked in another like in like a different setting, and I think he would have worked just fine in something like Yamato Takeru.
Yeah.
But he's very hang on one moment. Did I just get that? Okay. Sorry, someone just sent me something.
Right.
But like him and the whole like village that worships him.
Yeah. Yeah, and like that.
It's like it's interesting how everyone talks, and this is I don't know. This is whenever I was watching this, and I was just thinking about how well it is true that like it's kind of got the whole comedy going on with the G8 summit. I feel like outside of the dance that they're doing, the stuff in the village stuff is kind of just played straight.
Yeah.
Outside of like him.
Yeah. Whereas like most of the comedy comes from like government officials trying to deal with this one fucking creature.
With just progressively more and more ridiculous strategies.
That's kind of the film's charm. Oh yeah. Godzilla Jr.'s suit actor. He played Guilala. Interesting. I remember that now from I learned that I believe at SF Godzilla Fest. So yeah, because he was there for SF Godzilla Fest last year. Which that was pretty cool actually. But yeah. Kind of interesting that he's playing a second generation of a like something 2 Nickels second generation of a kaiju. Even though this Guilala has literally nothing to do with the prior one. But yeah, should we go into characterization when it comes to these creatures? Because I think one of the strengths of Extreme Outer Space and Strikes Back is and part of what makes Guilala memorable is his characterization.
Yeah, I like the way his laugh, which makes me think of like Bolton.
Yeah, like he laughs in the sequel, he dances in the sequel, and even in the first one, he's shown to be irritable. Like,
yeah,
he's shown to be irritable. He's shown to be energetic, but still has like that unknown movements, like unknown goal.
Yeah.
He's just kind of like doing as he pleases, shoving his way through landmarks, and then I think both of these films do a decent job at characterization with, and I mean Takemajin is like he's equally energetic but also a bit more stoic in a comedic manner, if that makes sense. Yeah, so like you have those interesting character moments with the kaiju, and it plays off the comedy, which whereas I think those character moments are primary examples of like the treatment of the kaiju. And if you want to start getting into this discussion now with like Wilderness Era versus like post 98 versus pre 98 and Wilderness Era and how that was like treating the monster and how that was like treating the monsters, we can get into that.
So I think, yeah, kind of just waiting on Zim to show up. So when it comes to like how this film got its like, especially since taking a moment to think. You see, I saw someone call the Wilderness Era the Dark Ages. And I don't agree with this assertion that it is the Wilderness Era. Because there's a reason we call it Wilderness Era and not Dark Ages.
Mm-hmm.
There was stuff we were getting. But it is of like B movie or even, dare I say, like C movie kind of whatever stuff. Like you had after Final Wars, which is typically when people mark the start of the Wilderness Era, you got like Gamera the Brave, a few Ultra series, and even then that kind of fizzled out.
Mm-hmm.
This movie, Dragon Wars, and then it kind of ended with Cloverfield, and then there was like Cloverfield and Godzilla Unleashed, and this was kind of all, that was it. And so we were kind of there for like 5 years of complete radio silence across the board, genre wide.
Yeah.
Would you also?
I mean, you also you.
No, Nico, I wouldn't even say that was like a dry period because you still got stuff like Jurassic Park: The Telltale Game. You still got stuff like Jurassic Park Builder. You still got stuff like Jurassic World, the game, and the build up to the movie. I would still say there was some Jurassic content in between. I would need to read. I would need to look into this more.
Mm-hmm. But you also did have Raigo and Raiga and Death Kappa in that time frame, and then if we want to count it, Project Nemesis to cap off the Wilderness Era, and then Pacific Rim is really what started. Well, it was
Pacific Rim is kind of what like showcased that it was things starting to move again. 2014 and Shin Godzilla was when everything really like we're doing this.
I would actually say it's the double whammy of Godzilla and of G14 and Pacific Rim, because I said this on Zimcast 99. Pacific Rim is what started, is like what reintroduced the concept of kaiju, and then G14 was basically saying, hey, the face of the genre's back. Let's do this. And because of G14, Shin happened, and now everyone is saying, oh, shit, kaiju's back. Let's go.
The whole genre is now back, and it's kind of in force. But around this time, this kind of film was a lot of what we were getting back then. It was a film that was very ironic, and much like Death Kappa and which of the Raiga movies was it? Deep Sea Monster Raiga?
Both of them, actually. I believe Raigo dropped in 2009. Raiga dropped in, or like, one moment.
So like,
Raigo was 2005. And then
I will to be fair, we named a fair amount of projects, but it was one per year, and you might not have even been able to like get them because they were all coming out of Japan. So good luck finding them.
Yeah. And then Raiga was 2009, and then Oga was 2019.
So we got like one real project per year. And it was, y'all forgot about IDW getting the Godzilla license in 2011. And it was like, but this is what I'm getting. It was that it was underground. And even then, Nico, it kind of still adds to the point of you weren't really getting much. Like, it was.
It was like.
I'm taking my words. You were getting But like outside of that, Nico, that doesn't change that most of the other stuff I've mentioned was like underground stuff from Japan that you might not have been even able to get your hands on.
Yeah.
Unless you were willing.
And it's
So it's
debatable
like,
even if that underground stuff was worth it, because most of
considering
them
what
were
we got with like, the Raiga movies, this movie, and Death Kappa, which were more
films that
ironic.
Films that laughed at the genre rather than
Films that were making fun of the genre
them.
when it was already at its lowest point. History would have been kinder to the Wilderness era, I think, if these films actually were focused on being genuine rather than making fun of a genre that was at its lowest point.
Yeah, and like that's the dichotomy, because X from Outer Space was in that first kaiju boom when the kaiju genre was being taken seriously and actively trying to make something worthwhile. Even if X from Outer Space as a film isn't perfect or isn't even that good, it still did its damnedest to tell a genuine story, to give something worthwhile to the audience. And alongside all of the other films that dropped that year,
yeah.
Also, Hoshi dropped his artwork in what is it? In Art General in Zim server. He big. But yeah, like I think that's the difference in dichotomy, and obviously, like, hey, by the Heisei era, people were still taking the genre seriously, even if it had become like, even
something 98 ruined everything.
Yeah. 98 being the way that it ended up. Like,
I can't wait for that 98 stream. I can't wait for that stream.
Oh, God. And then it was also the factor of people were just tired of these movies, because a lot of those movies did take themselves generally seriously. There weren't really that many comedies in the genre up to that point. So a lot of people were just like tuckered out of taking these films seriously. So then you had a decade of comedies with the occasional genuine attempt.
Yeah, and there were like just a handful of stuff that was genuine, like Cloverfield, like Project Nemesis, and some of the Godzilla comics.
I think that's why Cloverfield sticks out even to this day, because it was like the big attempt during that low point. Whereas it was the closest thing to a quote unquote proper Godzilla film that we got in that low point. Granted, like I said, I'm someone who got into the franchise after, I got into the franchise, I believe, the year, in 2014, when the Reiwa era was finishing. Also, I'm just going to repost the StreamYard link in case anyone wants to join, because it's too far up. So, yeah. But, you have that low point. Also, I'm tired of looking at Takemajin. Let me get to Guilala. Let me show the funny chicken boy that we are all here for. I love him. He's a goober. Even that mentality, he's a goober mentality. You in retrospect, you obviously see how goofy these designs are. I think part of that is because of Monster X Strikes Back, because that film did not play much of itself straight and instead lent into the comedy of the giant monster.
Mm-hmm.
Again, that's why I think Guilala is such a good example.
Yeah.
You have anything to add? Oh.
No, I agree pretty much. It's very Guilala is kind of emblematic of the wilderness era in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
At least I feel he is.
Hello.
Oh, she.
Hey guys, how are you all doing?
Good. We saw your artworks.
Any thoughts on it?
I commented.
I like the Argentinosaurus. Just holy shit, he's big, which makes sense when I remember. Oh, this is an Argentinosaurus. Oh, that makes perfect sense. No wonder it's an actual kaiju.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Guilala, Death Kappa, and Raiga, I think, are what I would call the wilderness era trio, where Kappa was what?
I have a question. Did these movies, the Guilala films, came from the Showa period?
The first one did.
The first
was...
one came from 1967. Then X Strikes Back came in 2000 and
2008.
Yeah.
Because
so the reason you guys are coming is because it's some kind of anniversary of it.
No, it's because I wanted to talk about the dichotomy between the wilderness era.
It was an April Fool's thing of talk about because
the
of
Goober
Guilala
kaijus
being very silly, but also for because the nature of the wilderness era, the lull period between two final wars in 2014 is something kind of worth talking about because it's always mentioned, but it's never gone into.
Yeah, and a lot of people misunderstand it and what it actually was like.
Because I'll tell you what it was. Very boring.
Yeah.
And very frustrating because because we knew stuff was happening, but we could never grab it. So there was nothing you could do. And if you did get it, it was, for lack of a better term, little better than an Asylum film.
Yeah. Or
so you
comparable.
All this work for something that wasn't even really worth it.
When we get to the Raiga movies, I think Raigo is a genuinely fine film. But but the Asylum comparisons will probably become more apparent. Because those are wholly original properties made by a guy who is explicitly a comedian. So
yeah, speaking of Asylum movies, which are your guys' favorite Asylum movie? Just for shits and giggles.
I guess Mega Shark versus Mecha Shark.
I would need to remember, bro. I remember. I as far as I want to say Super Gator. I've also genuinely been meaning to want to watch Dinocroc, the original one.
Yeah.
The progenitor of that whole genre.
That sub genre of creature feature. The monster shark horror film. It's you have the shark horror film and then you have the monster shark film.
Yeah.
Cool. Anyway, guys, I'm going to be leaving now. If that's okay for you.
All right. Feel free to draw. Also, if you want to, please draw Guilala. I'd love to see how you design him.
Oh yeah. Speaking of which, guys, have you guys seen what I did on Instagram? For OC Kaiju April.
Yes, I have been following that.
Yeah.
Any thoughts?
Not much to say. Your art style speaks for itself. You've already gone into that.
You translate them very well into your art style.
I think, yeah. I'm curious to see what some of the later ones end up.
Also, one more thing I had to say. Big announcement. I plan on doing my own Flash fiction story, if that's what you want to know.
Yo, I need to start writing.
That is pretty cool.
I need to
For
start
what?
writing mine. But yeah,
Okay, but bye guys. And one more
Bye.
thing. Happy Easter Day,
yeah. Happy Easter.
and also my boy won. Buckaroo beat Rez's ass.
I'm looking forward to that next episode. To the one after that.
Any
What is
thoughts
that
on
one?
this one?
Groove versus Megamind.
Oh boy.
Have you guys seen this
Uh,
episode?
I haven't seen that one because I wasn't. I forgot it was today.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. All right. But yeah, like
Any
Guilala,
updates? Any updates from Zim?
I have not heard back. I have heard literally nothing.
I think at this point he might not show up.
Yeah, I don't expect it. But yeah, I guess like Guilala is like the poster child of, well, one of three. I think Gappa is of like the singular film. You have Guilala as the legacy sequel, and then Raiga is sort of like the sequel stuff. Where
I wouldn't put Death Kappa into that. I'd put Cloverfield.
I could see why, but please explain.
Like the different kinds of films you were getting in this era.
Yeah. Okay. Fair. Because you had like the sequel to the Lost Classic. You had the like original attempts that didn't take themselves seriously, and then you had the genuine attempt.
Yeah.
What was him gonna do? I don't know. I just felt like this is a topic that he would be best suited for.
Yeah, and I think he also expressed interest in wanting to tag in.
Yeah. I know I asked him to tag in for Raiga, but I know he showed interest for this. So oh god, I hope everything's going well. I think he's probably still at the airport or doing stuff with his girl. But yeah, and I mean, we'll probably get more into this once we get to Raiga, because that's like that. I want to go into like Wilderness Era and its lingering effects, because the third film is a Reiwa film. It's from 2019, so. But it has a lot of like those Wilderness Era viewpoints. But like, I think for a tease on that one, I guess in retrospect, both of these films,
history has been kinder to them because now we have a lot of new stuff that is actually wanting to like it. That's not laced in irony.
Yeah. So like, the sting of them being poorly made films. I mean, 1967 had a whole bunch of other kaiju movies, two of them at least being good. Well, at least
they were sincere about being kaiju movies.
Yeah, all of them were sincere. At least at most 2/3 of them were of some level of quality. Because Yongari, I've not seen Kappa. I've not seen Gappa, but I heard that one's fine. And then you had King Kong Escapes, Son of Godzilla, and Gamera vs. Gauss. I will defend.
I think Son of Godzilla is just super underrated and gets a lot of unneeded like flack.
Me with Gamera vs. Gauss, I will gladly defend that film. But like, you have that sincere dynamic. These were films this was a movie that, even if it failed, it actively tried to do something genuine. And the fact that we're living in a time where this kind of stuff can still happen, you have these absurd creature feature films like, I guess a good comparison would be Rampage. You have films like Rampage where, yeah, it's absurd, but it takes itself seriously and actively tries to be genuine with the genre. And then the sting of Monster X Strikes Back doesn't hurt because now that sting is healed So you can have those comedic monster films with the serious ones. And I think it's like it's an interesting dynamic. It's an interesting like aging. Because like I said, the films themselves not exactly great. Hell, I think the first one is not really the most notable thing. But with the sequel, with the benefit of retrospect and their meta context, it's fascinating.
Yeah, and I think these kinds of films were a symptom of a mentality that is that you've dubbed the wilderness era mentality.
Yeah.
Which I guess as a way to segue into what will be the stream next week, right? We're doing Riga next week.
Yeah.
I guess define that.
I guess the viewpoint of boiling the monster down to just guy in suit and not exactly treating it as an actual reverential character, as something that should be taken seriously. That
I would I'd say it is the mentality of not taking a kaiju seriously, just on the merit that it is a kaiju.
Yeah. Because it is that mentality that spurred a lot of like the negative effects. And maybe it didn't originate from the wilderness era, but it was most prominent there, at least from what I've seen.
This is when it gained its prevalence, because enough stuff happened. I will just straight up say it. The objectively worst thing that could have happened to the genre happened.
Mm-hmm.
The face of the genre was bastardized and was functionally completely ruined. And despite the damage control, the damage was already done. And people looked back on, ironically, the one other film from said face of genre that was actually trying to be a, that actually like got around in the West, and they just that just served as retroactive confirmation bias.
Yeah. And this is something
Which
I do want to
cause people to cement the idea that, oh, Godzilla is just silly monster movie about guy in a dinosaur suit. And that mentality bled over into the rest of the genre to the point that we even see it now, where I would genuinely say that not being able to buy into kaiju to an extent is like a genuine skill issue.
And that's something that I want to get into both with Riga and when Zim does his community stream, because films like Guilala, films like The X from Outer Space and Monster X Strikes Back, they're
a symptom of the problem.
They're a symptom of the problem, but they're also, well, one predates the problem, arguably. One is a symptom of it, but the perception of the first one is very heavily affected by that mentality, by that, like, how we look back on these movies, and the viewpoint of it's a guy in a rubber suit. Part of why, like, X from Outer Space isn't a perfect film, but the reason I say
it's a good film.
Yeah, it's not a perfect film. It's not even a good one. But part of why I said I appreciate its attempt at sincerity is because it was actively trying to be reverential to the genre in a time where that was okay. Where, like, yeah, these were guys in suits, but the guys in suits came with genuinely well-crafted, or at least sincere storytelling. Were they all perfect? No. But they cared. They gave a shit. And, like, I'm not saying nobody gave a shit about Monster X Strikes Back. I'm not saying that at all. But you could tell the mentality, but you could tell, like, the thought process with Monster X Strikes Back is very different from, like, and maybe that's the time difference between the two. You have, like, a 40-year difference. Like, a 40-year difference between the two.
One moment. There's something I want to look at. I want to see who worked on Monster X Strikes Back and who worked on the original film. So I'm looking at the IMDb page right now.
Hmm.
And it was basically an entirely new team.
Yeah. So 40
Nada.
40 years of difference, entirely new people who grew up with different circumstances in a post-98 world.
Yeah.
I think, and Zim, if you're watching, sorry about that. I think now would be an okay time to end it off, I guess.
One moment. The director of Monster X Strikes Back has a record of making kaiju shit posts even today. So it's very clear that's just what he does.
Yeah. And like, no shit to the director. I'm sure he's a decent guy, but
No, not throwing shade at him. I was just looking to see if like anyone who worked on the original film actually worked on the sequel, just to see how that would affect what our thesis was.
yeah, but no, there wasn't. At least from what you could find. Both of them had generally very different viewpoints.
Yeah.
I guess. And I think how much of this could be attributed to the genre's perception, how much of this could be attributed to generational divide, I think that's a discussion that we shall continue next stream. This is
the coming streams.
Yeah. That was The X from Outer Space and Monster X Strikes Back, Attack at the G8 Summit. God, that is a fucking hell of a title. And I thought GMK had a big title. Jesus Christ. But yeah, overall, the films themselves are not great, but it's certainly an interesting look into like the dichotomy of the kaiju genre in its early years versus the kaiju genre at its lowest. And I think Raiga will definitely be able to look at that from an opposing viewpoint of the kaiju genre at its lowest versus the kaiju genre at its boom.
Yeah.
But yeah. Do you have anything to shell before we finish this off?
For once, I actually do. I finally started uploading YouTube videos.
Yay.
I just posted something on Friday about just me rambling about -0 and Supernova and how I feel what's gonna be coming with these two films and why I think they're gonna be successful and what I think you can expect to see from that success.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So, yeah.
All right. Cool. Glad to see it.
I've got a video talking about Gogmazios in the works as well. Currently just trying to get some equipment. But after that, it's kind of I've got my one monstrous moment which I need to start working on. And then the big one. My Shin Godzilla video.
Yay.
Which I'm doing a lot of preparation for that one. So yeah, keep your eyes out for that one. Oh boy, that video.
Yeah. And obviously you could find me here on this channel. I do some stuff, drawings and shit. And yeah, you can also find me on Instagram and Kara. I have been doing OC Kaiju April this year, which has been really fun. So, yeah. And also, like I said, I have a stream on the Raiga trilogy, which will be next Sunday. At around the same time, I might move it around time frame wise because Zim is also streaming that day. But I do hope you could join for that. Zim, if you're watching, I'm sorry for ending it off this early, but I didn't. Yeah. But yeah, and you can also find me on Kara. I need to update that though, and you can find me on Blue Sky, though I'm not as active as I used to be. But yeah, but take care, guys. Peace.
Have a good night. Or
Happy Easter, fellas.
actually, why did I say good night? I don't know. And yeah, happy Easter if that's a holiday you celebrate.
Yeah.